Okay, so anyway, all right, so let me do this. I mean, I want to run through just some larger time frames real quick, all right, before I wrap up the session here. So let's start out with dollar franc. Okay, so I'll keep an eye on this here. If I see anything eventful here, I'll mention it, but make sure you watch it on your chart. So here's dollar franc, right? Let's take a look at a 1 hour. Now the reason why I pull up dollar franc is because it does the complete inverse of euro dollar. So if this thing is pulling back, euro goes up. Notice this thing touched the daily pivot, and that's why euro is now hesitating, right? So that's interesting. I don't see any reasons for this thing to go back up though. Any real reasons. So that means euro may still have some more upside left in it. When we take a look at this and we zoom out a bit, dollar franc has been going up recently, right? And this corrective movement continues. We made it up until, what is this? This zone just above the 618, and we're just going back below. All right, so this here is a pretty bearish thing for dollar franc, right? If that sticks, this whole section, this whole leg can be a lower high, right? Let's zoom out a bit, right? A lower high in basically a larger structure consolidation. See this? Larger structure consolidation in something that pretty much has a lot of bearish momentum built into it, right? So that implies further weakness. Okay, on top of that, on this 4 hour chart, this is a pretty bearish candle. I mean, this has still all day to close, but just looking at the 1 hour, this is a pretty bearish situation for this thing. So it could be the turning point. If that's the case, and this thing starts going lower, that's a bullish argument for euro. The key level to break on this thing is 92, and basically 93 even. This swing low over here. All right, so we take that out. If we take that out next week, that would signal at least that, euro probably has a lot more upside in front of it. All right, just something to keep in mind. So that's dollar franc. That's the reason why I look at dollar franc. So dollar franc has bearish signs. Right, I can draw this trend line on that. So I would be looking for this thing to start pushing lower next week. Okay, that's dollar franc. So bullish arguments for the euro, which means if we see euro at supports, we should consider the bearish argument on the dollar franc. Okay, because euro at supports will most likely be more of a buy than a sell. All right, so here's the S&P. Let me just can I erase those? No. All right. So S&P, what's happening? Pulling back, right now. Let's take a look at the bigger picture. Here's the 4 hour S&P. Okay, I had these range things in here. Okay, it's a little messy, I know. Let me switch to a 1 hour. So as we can see, this thing has been pulling back a bit, right? It's been pulling the euro with it in recent days. This is yesterday. This here is this morning, right? But then it had this pretty big recovery. On the bigger picture, when we zoom out and we start zooming out all the way here, I mean, you can't see I have all these words all over the place. Let me just erase everything. I have all these words all over the place, but this formation on the bigger picture is not exactly bearish. All right, that's a bullish formation. It's not a flag anymore. A flag looks like this. It's not a flag. The flag broke out of the flag. But it's one of these expanding triangles. Again, usually when you get an expanding triangle, it's getting ready to do something, right? So this thing may be preparing for another significant leg up, and today's like the first day. All right, it's also come to the support area here, and kind of holding. So that'll be something to watch for next week. More bullishness out of the S&P. Now, if it falls through this, then that's going to make it much more questionable. But as of right now, especially with this insistent bullish move upward, on the S&P today, this thing has, a lot of potential here. And Euro, same thing. Okay, let's take a look at the bigger picture Euro. So here's the bigger picture. Here's 1 hour. Let's zoom out of it. Alright, so this Euro has been basically in this huge consolidation. Huge consolidation. And we're just going to basically the lows of it. So around these lows, 29, 29.50, 28, 28.50, these lows, this range here is the range low. So of course buyers are going to try to get in there, right? This thing is really not that bearish. So this thing could be the beginning, especially if we get an inside bar on this bigger picture. This could be the beginning of another significant leg up. All right, so for next week, basically what I'm saying is Euro has potential based on this structure to start pushing higher. The key will be breaking this 30-30 area, 30-30 resistance, which is going to probably equate to the 93 support on the dollar franc. Okay? So, do I have any questions about this stuff? So basically we're saying bullish Euro next week, bearish franc, and bullish S&P.